I want to get this straight. So America wants to get rid of their dangerous illegal immigrants. So they want to get rid of dangerous immigrants they cannot contain in America with all their correctional facilities and security details. But small Eswatini can. They cannot do it. But South Sudan can. How does that even make sense, ladies and gentlemen? The Trump administration is committed to removing criminal illegal aliens from the United States. Okay, that's fine. But that should be America's problem. What has that got to do with Africans? We all have problems to handle, ladies and gentlemen. Why do we have to take care of America's problems for America? Why not send them to Europe or Asia or to their home countries in the first place? Why is the U.S. mounting pressure on African countries to accept illegal immigrants they refer to as criminals? Criminals from Venezuela and Haiti and all over the place who will be deported straight from prison. Why to Africa? You need to watch this video shortly so we can speak on the facts as provided. First of all, my name is Cyrus and this is Tuntum Network in Accra, Ghana. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell for more of my videos. Let's watch this video shortly and be right back.
Government confirmed the deportations, adding that the 5 inmates were currently being housed in their correctional facilities in isolated units where similar offenders were kept, further seeking to assure the nation that their new arrivals pose no threat to the country or its citizens.
Circulating reports that the Kingdom of Eswatini has received 5 dead country prisoners from the United States of America. The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini would like to clarify that yes, indeed, 5 prisoners arrived in the country yesterday from the United States, and would like to actually assure the nation that engagements that went on between Eswatini and the U.S., they considered a lot of aspects, including security risk assessments, to ensure that the safety of Eswatini is not disturbed as the prisoners are currently being kept in the country. What we'd also like to clarify is the government of Eswatini is that these prisoners are not here permanently, but they will be repatriated in due course to their different countries, working in collaboration with the U.S. government and the International Organization for Migration.
Spokesperson of the Department of Homeland Security in America tweeted that this flight, referring to the flight that left America to Eswatini, took individuals so uniquely barbaric that their home countries refused to take them back. These depraved monsters have been terrorizing American communities, but thanks to our President of the United States, they are off American soil. End of quote. This is the tweet from the spokesperson of DHS in America. But America managed to find a place for these same people on the continent of Africa, on our soil, ladies and gentlemen. How is that even possible? These are men that are rejected by their own native countries. According to their spokesperson, they are originally from Jamaica, Laos, Cuba, Yemen, and Vietnam. Their own home countries won't even take them back. And guess what their crimes were, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what their crimes were? They were convicted of child rape, murder, and robbery. Okay. These are the people America is releasing to Africa, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly, these are not America's best, in Trump's own words. These are convicted criminals. Unfortunately, Africa has become the dumping ground for all manner of nuisance, ladies and gentlemen. And this is only the beginning of criminal deportees to be shipped to Africa, if you care to know. The U.S. government is moving 1 million of such people every year, according to their own press briefings. And they will need off-takers. One by one, all the doors of African countries will be knocked by the U.S. government at a certain point to host a certain number of these dangerous deportees. It will come in exchange for something, and we can only wait to see which African countries will buy into these deals. Ladies and gentlemen, so far only Nigeria has publicly rejected their offer. I want to turn my attention to Africa for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. It cannot continue like this. It is alleged President Putin of Russia described Africa as a cemetery for the fact that our rich politicians and middle class prefer to live in the West and only return home when it's time for them to die. It is alleged. We are called a God-forsaken continent. We are seen as a problem wherever we go and a dumping ground for all types of material and chemical waste. Ladies and gentlemen, we are used sometimes as guinea pigs for experiments. Now human waste is adding up to it. The worst people America cannot handle is sent to us. How is that even possible? Eswatini is a small country in between South Africa and Mozambique with a population of about 1.2 million people. It is a kingdom with no democracy. King Mswati III is the head of the monarchy and holds the supreme executive, legislative, and judicial powers. What he says goes, ladies and gentlemen. Political parties are banned from contesting elections, and therefore the king appoints the prime minister. He appoints a significant number of members of parliament and the senate, and he also appoints judges and other top officials. He is the commander-in-chief of the Eswatini Defense Forces and also appoints the head of the police service. He is in charge of everything. The country goes as far as the king determines, and so there isn't much to say in this situation. However, it is also a fact that the people of Eswatini are beginning to demand for democracy and constitutional rule. They are asking for it because of the lack of political freedom, economic inequality, and limited public influence over government decisions such as this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a country where if the king gets it wrong on any issue, the entire country suffers. That's monarchy for you, for those who are wishing for monarchies. But ultimately, I've lost so much respect for many African presidents since I started with my research on them. In fact, there isn't one African president we can trust anymore outside of those in the Sahel region. And even with those three, we still don't know what the future holds when it comes to them. Yeah. All these leaders of our countries are not there to develop the country for the betterment of the people. They want the power to control the resources of the country. They want the power to determine how much money, cash, can be printed. They go into negotiations without the approval of their people. They have no ear to hear what the people want. And the same things are happening with the members of parliament in our countries, ladies and gentlemen. The people we've elected as members of parliament or to the national assemblies to make laws on behalf of we the people never consult the people on when laws are being made, ladies and gentlemen. They never bring the details of the bills to their constituents for considerations. They go up there to do the bidding of their political party they represent and not the interests of the people who voted them there. Therefore, many of such highly criminal deportations are going to happen in the course of this year, and there will be nothing the people can do about it, unfortunately. If you listen to the stories around these deportations, especially to Eswatini, carefully, you will know we only got to even know about these events because the American government spoke about it. If they had kept it under the rug, ladies and gentlemen, we wouldn't have had any idea what was going on. The question then is, how many of such critical situations happen in our countries every day without the knowledge of the people? How many of such negotiations happen that is kept away from the public, ladies and gentlemen? This is why the need for an independent media is non-negotiable. Whenever there is no credible opposition and media in a country, many things such as these go over our heads and many of the people that live in the countries. How will the king ensure these dangerous deportees don't become a problem for his people? How about South Sudan, ladies and gentlemen? Because they've also taken in some of these prisoners. How will the people ensure these politicians don't release them onto the streets? We have ultimately neglected our duty of building our countries, and therefore we will continue to have such things pushed down our throats. This one must also stop, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to thank you for taking time to watch this episode. And remember to watch new episodes.
All right, Abushia. Yeah, brother Cyrus. Na, in fact, yeah, brother, did you my pa? na esan saya na ohwie awrewre for de edigu mu nti no ma ne views no so ekosoro onya international view enyina na abusua ma me summarize ni bibia enchero na me enchero se saa de wi metumi allege, let me use that word, allege say Ghana esi wa ha and say or say king of Swatini o sa hwan na nansen no yewra ote kokoso invite na oba hanom na yekohwe ne ho abakwasam na afebia no oware oba abaako intime no ka say ne yerenom ene namba de wo ho Donald Trump oda America honum yi chere Africa emre bi na news bi circulate. I don't know whether say eya nokre ana say eya ntro no say Africa shit hole na mpanso because eba ne say omoye missiles atomic energy ni ade ahodo na waste na ebeba no then no ma betua our so called leaders. But we, some of us, we call them dealers. No, no more baby triomoka. Then near dampu guye si mu, ye dampu guye forest mu near dampu gugu baby ya. I was a dampu edigu. And this time around, no, Donald Trump say illegal immigrant on pay into wo deported omo. Then with the deportation, no, was swa with different maku num. Edo omo akwa kogu Eswatini and as ohene o anko bia te so ohene a okra de ye ka ken na nka wo ne ken no because the whole Eswatini no wo na wo read the whole entire country no nti anka wo ne the rare ken anka wo sa wo jade am you say yes ye ka hemfo a mo anasa wo ne ohene no ono kra de sabi chese wa jimi kra sen bibia atumi allow agesa awudifo no e wa bra sa awudifo we mu na Donald Trump deport omo no omo kromfo ankasa reject omo nti rejection omo reject ya no ne omo ka che Donald Trump anasa anka we firing squad chechero omo ani na tamtuo babababam no wa yi omo afiri wo no ye nya ohene jimifo bi wo Ghana Africa ha no mo say media major matena ha eno na ye bra Cyrus be ye ho video no na me catch ra usa ade we say America fo anka ho asam no mo ye ne kode ya anka di sunne obi ante ho asam inti metumi aka say bia Ghana ha bi koso adentia ma me mo video we nchelo ya bra kofi video I think say 3 days ago say 4 days ago na me hwe video no na ma nya kwan anhwe nwie na ni explanation no de ye nhwe video no ntie ni ewie a afi no mabo e de achero
America man beni e de wo mo sign akomu ekuru mu anase wo mu njia obuso ye no ene 13 akwakodu a wo mo alande e wo Kotoka International Airport enti me share ko si ye no na chese enye Ghana fo nko a Angola for ewo mu ebi other neighboring African countries and so ade she wo mu a ya wo mu mape e wo bi mhye mu ene eye Friday 18th July
nti wati last week Friday no ene plane ebabesi Kotoka International Airport na citizen of Ghana e was a plane mo no eye 13 na ye wo Angola fo wom ye wo Algeria fo wom ena na obobo countries no o de ye nkoso ntie obete na America na ase yete ya Yesu Igbo ken ho Yesu Igbo ken ho me say awudifo ya ya send bi e de akoma Eswatini fuyi ye be komo no ni aso abi so aba begu Ghana ha ba ye de kode nti
sabi nra na wo mo etuye efi America ha amakodu ewo Ghana mine emu enti deportees ni bi aba bitu asabi ye hwese wo mo betumi aba be Ghana for emu ebi na we ye na to nchen America mine e de rules bi e de aba
enti abushia yenim ya bra ko fita ni osi ko details ni nsam mu Say ya kyerɛ sɛ we mu na ɔmo aba no ye de we mu kɔ nne ye de we mu kɔ kyena anka ɔkae ye nim as to say that ben ɔmo pray ndo ɔmo kɔ me say ɔmo ba beduru ye ya to ɔmo apete ɔmo ba beduru ya to ɔmo apete na sɛ nya bra kofi ne kan ye media no kwa wote sɛ circulate wo so said Donald Trump deportation or ye Ghana phobia beduru na nkofo bi kan ɔmo ho these politicians your politicians way more na yen Ghana for ne yesi ye ma yanim bie na ya sori a internet no so ye kwa nkofo anya depression ntokwa na ebi mu da TikTok eto ebi mu da TikTok kote ho nkomo na omo di no ho no anya ne ebehunnie me say Igbo ken ho su a Yesu eye ketewa bi mae Eswatini aja udifo enomo because of so mo amukofo ni bi atwete ena me enya information no a mo ankasa confirm you ba Ghana yanso ye confirmation na wose ya mu hwehwemu ya journalist a mo na mo siasa mo na mo ya akase ne ade no momfa investigation we emiewu sa ampa eba ne say ye bra we ya ono de oboa sene Erasmus Asardonko ye hina yenim say bra ne de ban say galamse ho investigation a utwa ne ti kura na de nokra ne beba nti ye nuan mo journalist for akase na mo say yes mo ye gangali an mo mi hu bibi nti ena ye bra kofi report ye no wote ye and owie ye no hwe caption a omusan e de to ato omunim ne omaye Swatini de no wada ma bomode stay ha ma me share information mani ndru akire na Ghana for yema ya ni nda ho na me wi a me hete mo ewo Ken Swatini wonom no secret wa akire mabia mu ama yentie ne America for ediport wie ne ye de to ato e de ma nkofo a wo US a e peso omo visit Ghana no o de TV
na we na to nchen America man no e de rules bi e de aba say answer no betu kwan akọ Ghana no onhwe no we ba we no eya wo ha wo update wo hwe man bi niam ekoso ho na wo de tu wo de share for say wo bekosa akantu e be ya nka jai wo bekonso akọ ya hwe sa niam we yi eni bi na sa travel one wo de aba na ye hwe niam a ewo mu no ebi don't forget say we aviation this week. The America Mampany and I say America mine they are to get Afa Ghana on the say over the Ghana they are to a year level 2 more advice we travel advisory on Ghana. Now what much I say Ghana for any pebia womo pe gay and lesbians and one sem I must say yeah them rakra aba and intino or they are two more a to Ghana and what come America for say Ghana wohwe ye say womo kwa enante na Ghana ye eno achi no rape no achi no mo che say eya na eko abra yen report enti ama aye serious problem omo say domestic violence nso akosoro e wo Ghana pa na police for enhye da enye ho hwe we eye nsem a America man no atro e de agu ne site a omamfo etukwan aba Ghana no wo mo hwe ekan ansa no beba
abusha ma me fancy ya inti ne etie ne say US e ba asa no bia no ma caption say Ghana e ba ne say monato wona ma ne ya chew ne ya wro dross ene poko ne abo bia ne ya jaw another one yes say Ghana ka wi a wote ka mu ne atwe gwa ne ato awo baabi ni aje wo ka ni ye de wo ko omo caption om say especially the northern part and the water part omo bobo bi intino we America ni na obekọ ho no ma ye the caption we ma anka be ye nso a men kokora wo hu Swatini for the ya omo deport omo ko yi awudi for ye de omo ko ye no ye utie ye bra Cyrus eya ode bana Baako rape case any ade che no 2 robbery case any ade che no 3 murder 4 say all the serious crime no and ye dey echiche omo and omo no kra no prison omo gu no US prison no ye isolate omo de call baby awudifo ankasa what say Ghana ha no ye nim ne ekoso nti prison sentence no ye wo ye nuanum binum omo abia ayera sa ayera ne ye wa ayera bi anase ye waduro bi e friend batuta me ya ma failed nti ma menchiro mu kakra ye waduro bi e friend batuta sa batuta no onde ko sa akasam na ne e kire ne se enye nokre but wo ani so no because say na city no bo hu ni say eye raw nti nipa no ogina ho pa ba uhu no and ya dre bia na e bro secret mom ti ye chisa ankofo na omutume yera na oda fiase ho ni ase aboni chain nti obi a wakọ prison na won hu sa de we bi e be testify asama me ka kire wi ni ase aboni nsa chain ni aboni nine chain e de aboda de no bo prison ho no meaning say we de oye within here ne hu ohun san ka ho saa na sa wudifo e do mo ko Swatini no etie na Swatini die nienti a ama na ba out na ma ye nyina ye hu bi ne say Ghana sisi ano anase Africa ya dwen ekọ men kan say monarchy system anase military rule ne so nti omo pese omo di twa infonyini bi e de kire ye and omanya a puppet leader as a monarchy leader ena omo yusu no e de atwa sa picture no e de a kire ye Africans abusia madam masem we hia mon share but Ghana o kan sam papa e bie Ghana ani a won share da obekwa akohwe to a share inti amudi twa picture kire ye say semohu ye ka sa monarchy system anase military system na ho asema mohu ne we eye inti krom ofo na ankasa no we abasa no uni say because ono no appoint judges ono appoint lawyers ono appoint wan ne guwo nyina ono no ye anka owo the mandate say ode be ye ne mapa no pray na ekuta no enye pray ni ba enso ko Eswatini ho no mo ya ho researcher ohia adokurukuro ni say dokoro and Trump enya a puppet obe bow down to intimate na broje and they no nko ana me ka kire no me say hu na ye hu ye intini e be kan say yesusu anase eye allege me say utie ne e ba Ghana heya ye say Ghana for 13 and pray ni mu no nipa doma hodo bebregum ebi free as to say that be no omkom krom there no one's no obi anim ntimumi emi say praying for say ankofo no beduri no mokoda ben praying ben na de omokoye record ben e keep fa ho e wo say ebi so omno mbe kire ye mikai ya so asa wodifo ni bi e de abagu ya hanom say chabam mo na bola mo na wura mo na bibia no mo sefata say yemfa mbramo abusha hanam de ubesi ahayo de Asampa TV unya subscribe to channel na mesro so be subscribe share na like ma from a caps you ko send be the video for tomorrow obenya bia hwe mami wa adwenkyere e wo comment section no ase sisi after this video ya be ko TikTok live ya be ko akoye sa program we esa so e wo honum ya nje nkratwe wa ntem nka bi ma makrao